almost heaven. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all there, older than the trees.
Attention citizens, nuclear strike imminent. Please exit the area at your earliest convenience. Thank you for your cooperation.
Good evening, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Ash. How are you?
Very well, very well. So this is the third episode of our Fallout Monsters series.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you the question.
No,
because
is the answer.
That's the answer. Have you played the game since you bought it?
I've only played it the first bit where I've got out of the mountain bunker thing right at the start, and because I was expecting it to be a little bit more like Call of Duty, and it wasn't. I kind of stopped at the moment. But I intend to play it, but so that's as far as I got. I've got out of the vault, and then I don't really know where I've got to go or what I've got to do.
Okay. I'm very disappointed, but
I'll take that as a telling off.
Thought you'd be like Mr. Fallout knowledge, like encyclopedia by now. We could bounce off.
No,
but no. Ah, well.
Maybe for the next one.
I'm gonna hold you to that one. You got a month to.
I got a month.
At least get to because the monsters we talked about so far are near the start of the game, so you can at least come across at least one of them, and then I'll let you off with that one. I'll take a picture of it once you find it in the game, and
yeah, I'll do that.
Cool. So this week we are talking about another monster from the Fallout 76 video game, and this month is going to be the Grafton Monster.
Yes.
So, like the previous two episodes, I'll talk about the monster in the game, how it's portrayed, a bit of origin story for it, and then Greg will come in and sort of talk about the real life stories.
Yeah.
What actually happens with the Grafton Monster and how it came to be.
Yes.
So, the Grafton Monster. It's a powerful enemy creature in the game, and it's based around sightings that we come onto in the Grafton area, hence Grafton Monster. In the game, it's big, hulking creature. It attacks on sight, so you can't really sort of be friendly with it. Like some of the others have sort of friendly versions, but this one doesn't. It will attack on sight. It attacks by throwing large rocks. It has a toxic gas as well to attack you with. It's basically depicted as a mutated version of the legendary Grafton Monster. Greyish-green skin and sharp claws. And it came about after West Tech. So West Tech, I guess it's similar to the Umbrella Corporation in the Resident Evil series. They're sort of controlling everything. They were carrying out experiments called FEV, which is the Forced Evolutionary Virus, and this was pre-war, the nuclear apocalypse. They were doing experiments on people and stuff using this virus, which sort of altered DNA and the genetics. So that's how this monster and other monsters in the game, other creatures like super mutants, came about because of these experiments by West Tech. So the Grafton Monster, the resulting monster, is a headless, hairless, with a leathery texture. It stands at around 2.5 meters with an oversized chest. You can see in the pictures we'll have for the show art. It looks pretty scary.
Very weird.
Very weird. And it can maneuver in the tight spaces, and like I said, it is very, very hostile. Very, very big chest and arms. When you first come across it, because it's so big, you're literally what the things is the big way of thinking. It's loud, and it just comes marching towards you, and it's throwing rocks and this black gas thing, oil. In fact, more like an oil that it just throws at you. Especially if you're quite new and not very powerful. It tends to just run off because it's not the fastest. So it can be quite fast, but you can just run off and sort of get out of the area and then come back when you're a bit stronger to fight him. There's different versions of the Grafton Monster in the game, like with the Flatwoods Monster and the Mothman, sort of different ones that you can come across. You've got the glowing Grafton Monster, again, covered in radiation because of the nuclear fallout, the nuclear war that's been going on, and the diseased Grafton Monster, which is more aggressive, so even more scarier. And it can give your character, a disease. So you can catch the disease off it, and that can obviously hamper your abilities and stuff like that. Obviously, because it is quite a strong character, the rewards you get for killing it are pretty good. It's classed as more like a boss than other creatures, but they tend to be kind of in the same place. You sort of know where they are, and you can go and find it if you want to try and kill it. And he's a boss in one of the missions as well.
Okay.
He doesn't really seem to have a head, which makes it look creepy. He does have a head, but because the chest is so big, it sort of comes up, so it sort of hides the head a little bit. Yeah. So when you first see it, it looks like there's this big grey moving rock. Is sort of how it looks like.
Yeah, it's a weird looking thing. Yeah,
it's
very, very much like the descriptions in real life, as it were. Because when I first started looking at it, it just looks like this weird Hulk thing without a head. but yeah, it has a head but non-distinct. But
yeah, that's it. Like I say, it is very, very creepy to look at.
Yeah, when I was looking at the YouTube stuff on it, it showed the game and what it looks like in the game, because I haven't got that far yet. Yeah, very weird looking character. Very weird. So moving on to the real life. So as I indicated, the descriptions compare to the game very well. And it does look like that's some kind of weird Hulk creature without a head, even though it does have a head. Claimed to be a humanoid bipedal creature, and it was originally said that it had white seal-like skin, but in an article in the Grafton Sentinel published on June 18th, 1964, an anonymous teenager claimed the creature was 9 feet tall and about 4 feet wide, which ties in with what it looks like in the game for definite. Yeah. But it was on June the 16th in 1964, around 11 o'clock at night. Robert Cockrell, a reporter for the Grafton Sentinel newspaper, was driving along the Tygart River on Route 119, known as Riverside Drive, on his way home from work. There, he suddenly encountered a large white creature on the right-hand side of the road, which was the side that the Tygart River was located. And according to Robert's account, the creature was lumbering around on the side of the road while a low whistling noise was being emanated from further away in the direction of the river. Cockrell at the time had no explanation for the noise, but later on, ufologist Gray Barker, believing that the creature had extraterrestrial origin, he suggested that the noise was being emitted from the creature's spaceship.
So with that, it's very similar time again to the Mothman and the other thing. It sort of seems to be within that sort of few years where all this was sort of happening.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all around the time where there's quite a heightened thing about the space race. So we had the race to get to the moon. There was lots of films about aliens taking over. It's like post-war. It's that sort of new, sort of up and coming age in the world where people are like space monsters are a big thing and all that kind of stuff. But surprised by the encounter, Robert Cockrell initially slowed down as he was able to see that the creature was very large and appeared to be made entirely of muscle. It also had white seal-like fur, and disturbingly didn't have a visible head. So some of the pictures, the artist drawings of this particular creature, it looks like if you've ever seen like a monkey or a gorilla where they've got sometimes you see them and they've got no fur, like completely bald, and they look like these superhuman type muscly things. That is the kind of impression I got that this thing looked a bit like. The creature moved quickly out of view, and upon realizing that the white obstruction was a living creature, Robert quickly accelerated down the road until he reached home, as I would.
Yeah. Get out of there.
Yeah, bye-bye. See you later, y'all. Cockrell called two of his friends, Jerry Morse and Jim Mauser. Cockrell explained the sighting to them and then asked them to come to a location of the sighting in order to investigate further. They did agree, but when they returned to the site, all they were able to find was trampled grass and a low whistling sound that seemed to follow them around the site. The next day at work, Robert mentioned this to the editor of the Grafton Sentinel, what he'd seen, but the editor did not take the sighting seriously. Robert assumed that nothing more would come of his sighting after that point. His friends, however, were fascinated with the idea of a monster on the loose and went around town telling as many people as they could. Ideal. In a very short time, monster hunting parties had formed, predominantly made up of local teens armed with baseball bats, whatever they could find. They were going out to lynch the thing. These roving groups of teens scoured Riverside Drive near where the Cockrell had initially seen the creature, and soon new sightings were being reported. Spurred by the commotion and by the new sighting, the Grafton Sentinel interviewed some of the teenagers and produced an article about the creature on June the 18th, so 2 days later, called Teenage Monster Hunting Parties Latest Activity on Grafton Scene. So that's a headline.
It sounds quite like, but I may say about like it sounds a bit like a lynching party. It reminds me a bit of like the monster from Frankenstein, where he's kind of like misunderstood. Could just be like obviously a friendly something gone wrong somewhere, but it's friendly. He just wants to make friends, and then they come out with him at baseball bats looking for him and stuff. It's misunderstood monster.
So, misunderstood. More than 20 sightings were reported from this monster hunt, weirdly, with Robert interviewed them all in detail. One of them said, "I saw the monster near the river early in the morning. It saw me and instantly froze. It did not move. I was fishing at the time and left all my gear there and started to run away, as I would. As I ran, I turned and saw that it too turned away and started running off. As I got near my truck and began opening the door, I heard a whooshing sound and a bright light appear above the tree line. I drove off and got my gear 2 days later." So it's definitely like a UFO sort of kind of underlying thing. But again, the hysteria, people were talking about the whistling noise being part of a spaceship, that kind of thing. It's amazing. So the interesting bit about it, there's something that I came across in multiple places, that the authorities were trying to sort of settle this down a bit, because there was people turned monster hunters bringing loaded guns into the area. The tensions rising. Yeah, the police had to get involved and undertook their own investigation. So that's a positive thing. And the next day, on June the 19th, the Grafton Sentinel printed another article on the subject, dismissing the monster as simply a result of spring fever, as bored locals wildly managed a creature, which was instead a hand cart piled high with boxes. But again, that goes to like the mass hysteria again, that people are seeing stuff and somebody's had a sight and everybody's a bit hyped up and everybody starts seeing these things.
I suppose because like these little towns in sort of West Virginia, these little towns, probably not much going on.
No,
and
exactly.
Like, something exciting, something happening. Let's all get involved. Especially when sort of teens are involved and younger people, they may be a bit more likely to maybe fabricate something that they're out hunting and they see something and stuff. So it's
could be a bit more elaboration and stretching the truth a little bit. So the handcart was the most likely cause for the story and the sightings, according to the paper. The paper then stated it's fairly certain the monsters don't go around pushing handcarts loaded with boxes. So they kind of dismissed it, really. And it was depicted in the Fallout game, which does look like a white, muscly character. But there's also other sightings more recently. So there was a sighting in 1991 where a group of teenagers claimed to have seen a large black creature this time walking on two legs near the railroad tracks. The creature reportedly had red eyes.
Kind of sound like a bear. Bears
Yeah.
walk on the legs,
And then
especially black bears.
Yeah, it could be because they're in the woods and all sorts of. Yeah, you could have a bear just on his back legs, and they're quite big when bears stand up, aren't they? 2016, yeah, and very scary. 2016, a man claimed to have seen the Grafton Monster while hiking in the woods. He reported seeing a large ape-like creature that stood on two legs. And in 2018, a woman reported seeing a large bipedal creature in her backyard. She described it as being approximately 7 feet tall with a muscular build. So,
it kind of, difficult. I mean, it sounds a bit similar to Bigfoot sightings as well. Sort of the build and obviously not quite as wide as like the original sort of Grafton Monster sighting. And I found one from 2014 with a photo.
Okay.
With it. We got this photo. He's on Destination America as well. I think that must be a TV show.
Yeah.
And there's a photo called, it's like possibly a trail cam photo. And it looks like, it kind of looks like it does in the game. A big, grey monster, just off camera. But again, it could be a bear. Yeah. And it is sort of a black and white photo as well. So it looks grey. Maybe that's why it looks grey.
Yeah. And on the trail cam, they always look, it's almost black and white on the trail cam, isn't it?
But it's an interesting photo. And it looks, whatever it is big. Definitely is something. It's like you can tell it's not like a fake picture. They have caught something that is big. It looks scary, and I don't know if it ever was properly debunked as maybe a bear or something. It just says Grafton Monster, Taylor County.
I couldn't find anywhere where they sort of definitely ruled it out. But apart from like in the 60s where they were like, "Oh, it's just a bit of mass hysteria and the kids going wild," and that was it really. Very interesting, very Bigfoot-like, but the shape of it is quite distinctive, and that comes across in the game as well. It's a very weird-looking creature.
That's very scary. Very scary.
And that is Grafton Monster.
Yep, join us next episode when we will be looking at another famous cryptid that features in the game and in real life, and that is the Wendigo, or the Wendigo, however you want to pronounce it. So, yeah, looking forward to learning about that one.
Yeah,
we shall
definitely
see you all later.